Welcome to a new video everybody, I hope you're doing well. This will be a step-by-step tutorial of the second aquascape that I created during my visit to Dennerle Plants in Germany a few weeks ago. If you missed the first step-by-step tutorial, I highly recommend you watch that one as well, because we made a beautiful Dutch-style nano aquascape with incredible plant growth after only 2 weeks. The link to that video will be in the description. Today we are making sort of like a classic nature style aquascape, but in an island style composition, so it will be nicely visible from the front and also from the sides. The tank itself is an optic white rimless aquarium and the dimensions are 45 cm from left to right, 34 cm front to back and 36 cm high. As always, we are starting with a nice layer of aqua soil. And for this size aquarium we have used one full 8-liter bag of Dennerle Plants soil. If you are not sure how many liters of soil you need for your aquarium, you can kind of get a rough idea with some simple math. First think about how thick you want the layer of soil to be, and I would say go for at least 5 cm all around. Then multiply the length and the width of the tank in centimeters and multiply that number with the thickness of your soil layer. So in this case that's 45 multiplied by 34. And if you multiply that with 5, you get 7,650. So 7.5 liters of soil will be the absolute minimum for this tank. Now that's enough math for today, let's move on with the hardscape. Here in the greenhouse from Dennerle Plants they also make plant decor. So they are attaching plants like Anubias, java ferns and mosses to small pieces of hardscape like spiderwood, coconut caves and even small rocks. This means that they actually have a very nice hardscape selection here. And I managed to find a few really nice pieces of wood that were perfect for the idea that I had in mind. Now a lot of times these pieces of wood have very straight edges where they made a clean cut with a saw. This can look very unnatural, so we tried to break them up a little bit with some pliers. I'm quite happy with the wood layout, now let's add in some small rocks. I'm using a type of grey slate rock, and fun fact, these slate rocks are used in the greenhouse as well to make moss decor with moss balls. So later on when we start planting the scape, we will use some small pieces of moss ball as well. That's the hardscape complete, very simple but I think it looks great. In total we have used 4 pieces of wood and maybe 10 small rocks. The next step is to glue the hardscape together. We're doing this to prevent the wood from floating after we fill the tank up with water, but also because this aquascape will be displayed in the booth of Dennerle Plants during the Interzoo trade show in a few weeks from now. So it's important that the hardscape doesn't collapse during transport. For the gluing we're using small pieces of cotton pad and the liquid type cyanoacrylate based super glue. Now for the most exciting part, the planting. I'm especially excited this time because we're using some very cool new plants that will soon be added to the already great selection that Dennerle Plants has to offer. We have a new type of very small Anubias, a new type of Cryptocoryne and a new type of Rotala, but we will talk more about these plants in a minute. For the carpet we're using Hemianthus callitrichoides Cuba, a real classic. And getting this plant to stay in the substrate and not float up can be a bit of a pain. So I got a great tip from Juris, and that is to actually leave a small portion of the rock wool on the roots. The rock wool kind of serves as an anchor and will help to keep the plant in the substrate. The next plant we're going to use is Helanthium Tenellum broadleaf. This is another fast growing carpeting plant with a grass-like appearance. And this one is going in both corners of the tank, behind the HC Cuba. Next up we're going to fill in the area behind the wood. And this is where the first new plant comes in, which is Rotala species Laos. Right now it's still in its immersed form, so I'm very curious to see how this plant will look in a few weeks from now. course, we can't go without a touch of red, so we're also planting some Rotala Tetra behind the wood and in between the Rotala species Laos. These two plants will mix together and make a nice colorful background in this aquascape. I want to add one more plant in the background, and that is Juncus repens. This is a slow growing grass-like plant that's going to blend in with the Rotala and hopefully give a very natural and wild look to the layout. We've now basically planted the front, the sides and the background of the aquarium, so now we're moving more towards the center and around the hardscape. The next plant has got me very excited. This is Cryptocurrent Legroy, a new plant that will soon be added to the Dennerle range. I absolutely love the color of the leaves and I'm very curious how this plant is going to develop in the next few weeks. I'm a big fan of Cryptocoryne, so we're going to use another one. This is Cryptocoryne lutea Hobbit, and as the name suggests, it's going to stay very small. So that's why we're planting it just behind the HC Cuba and around the small rocks. If you're enjoying this tutorial so far, and I hope you are, take a moment and click that like button underneath this video. This really helps us to bring this tutorial to a wider audience. After a small break and a light misting of the plants, it's time to add in a few more details. Just around the small rocks I want a couple plugs of dwarf hairgrass. Not a lot, just to break up the carpet a little bit and add some more detail. Of course, this layout would not be complete without some Anubias, and this time we have a very special one. This is Anubias species mini Kirin, another new plant that will soon be added to the Dennerle range. The leaves have a unique shape and it almost looks like an Anubias and a bush Philandra mixed together. I also feel like this wood structure was begging for some Java fern, so I'm adding one small Trident Fern. To finish the planting of this layout, we are adding a few small pieces of moss balls, and by opening them up you can kind of turn them into little moss cushions. That is the planting complete and I'm really happy with the end result. If you want to stay updated on the progress of this aquascape, I highly recommend you subscribe to the Dennerle Plants YouTube channel and follow them on Instagram and Facebook. Links for that will be in the description. If you enjoyed this step-by-step tutorial, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done this yet, and I'll see you all next time.